Welcome back to the Keys to Success podcast. Thank you guys for joining me, Tilisa Stubbs, and my co host, Deborah Douglas. My girl, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm good. You know what? Yesterday I had a really nice conversation with my dad. And it was one of those conversations where he just like poured so much wisdom into me and just so much love. And I don't get that all the time. And so yesterday I just really just embraced it. And it just felt good. It just felt good being able to just have my dad just speak life and speak blessings and wisdom over me. So it was good. I'm good. I feel good.
Oh, that's so good. And that's one of those of like refreshing your cup, like your cup is being filled up. And I know we're all grown, but there's something about when your mother or father pours into you or says, I'm so proud of you. It brings you back to being like a little child and you just get so giddy of like, yes, I did it. I did it. I got their approval for something. So that's so good.
Yeah, so you know how it is. So anyway, so I'm good. I'm in a good spirit. But what's your week been like? What's been going on?
Okay, so I'm gonna be very transparent. So viewers that are listening, if y'all are family, y'all just got to take this one for the team right now for me. I am dealing with the wanting to help so many people because a lot of people have followed my journey. They're like, oh my gosh, she's doing investments. I want to do investments too. And I'm always open to helping. And so right now I'm working with helping some of my family members get under contract on some properties. And it's a struggle. And it's a struggle because either you trust me or you don't, or you believe that this is going to work or you don't. But every 5 minutes calling and questioning, well, why does the contract look like this? Well, why is the interest rate? Maybe I need to call my bank. And honey, you're going to do whatever you want to do. One thing I'm going to do is we don't have to do this. Learning that, and I feel like I've always known this, real estate is nothing other than numbers and mindset. And if you don't understand the mindset of living a life of abundance and living a life of more, you're not going to understand the numbers because there's a price to pay to do business, period. We're all doing this business. And if you make the right decisions with the numbers, you're going to still cash flow. But your mind has to be ready to accept that. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people that want to get into investing, but their mindset isn't there. So therefore, none of the numbers are going to make sense. But then they're questioning everything you're doing because you don't live in a life of abundance. Who would navigate all that? Because I'm very like OCD, like, you know what? This ain't working. Let's keep it moving.
Right.
For you. For me, all money is not good money. This may just not be your world of real estate. That's okay. I mean, but that's kind of where I'm at. Like they will take all my time and then I'm like, okay, I sent the offer, let's sign it. Then every little point that I've already went over in detail, like let's go over this contract together. Oh, I've done this before. Okay, but let's just do it. But then you don't want to listen, but then you're calling me about interest rates. Well, you put on there 20,000 I'm only giving 15. I'm not worried about that. I just want to see if they're going to accept our offer. Can we just that right now they haven't accepted your offer. You worried about the wrong thing.
Right.
And then it's family. So you can't just go in like you want to because I'm like, I got to see them at Thanksgiving and my kids' birthday parties and stuff. So like,
but I'll say, like, y'all, we got to trust the process.
Trust the process.
Especially when you have an experienced and a seasoned investor, mentor, coach that's helping you. Let your mentor or coach, let them do their job. Let them, because you don't know what you're doing.
You don't
especially, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, talking about our first deal and everything else. But in the beginning, you don't know what the hell you're doing. No. And so your job is literally to just sit back and learn, sit back and absorb. Look at the numbers that I'm looking at. Ask the questions that you need for clarity, but don't question the expert.
Question it. And what's crazy is like they know my story of the reason why I got into real estate as a realtor is because I had a really bad realtor that really set me up for failure that told me she works with investors. And then when we got into it, she offered a property that when it was really appraised, it appraised almost 25,000 less than what we needed to appraise. And I'm stuck with 25,000 stuck in a deal. And I'm calling her like, hey, you told me it was going to appraise for 175 and it only appraised for 103.
Ooh.
Like, what am I supposed to do? Oh, well, it should have appraised, and click. And so
Ooh.
I'm very intentional with, if I say yes to a property, like I have done all the numbers, I have put it on me as if this was my property, would I be okay with it? And to still have people that question, I'm not going to put you in a bad situation because I know what that feels like.
Right. And oh goodness, and sometimes it's just like if it gives me so much of a headache and it gives me so much anxiety just working with you, like you said, Deborah, not all money is good money, and I'd rather us just keep our relationship intact,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
And just do what we do best.
Yes. And see, that's why I need to stop posting about all these deals I'm getting, because they're looking at that and they're like, oh, I want to do that too. But you don't know the sacrifice. You don't know the late nights. You don't know the up early calls. You don't know me literally scratching paper after paper, looking at all of these deals because your mindset ain't there.
Yeah. Whoo.
Ah,
Deborah, and I know that you're like me. It's like real estate is on your mind from the moment that you fall asleep to the crack of dawn when you wake up.
yeah.
Like real estate, the numbers, like everything. It's all consuming. So it's like, what part do you want to play in that? Because you can take on my role, but I'm gonna let you know that my role is not an easy role. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:33 to be exact.
Yes. 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 Okay. But I am super excited to hear about your first deal. I mean, I cannot wait. You got to share emotions, everything that was going on this first deal.
Okay, so let me take you guys back because there's always a story leading up to your first deal. And for me, I started off as in wholesaling, right? And so when I first started to get my research and all that other stuff, I did YouTube University, child. Went to YouTube University, found out about wholesaling, watched a couple of videos, and I was like, "Oh, I could do this. This ain't nothing. This is easy peasy. I just gotta find a house that's got some overgrown trees, and I gotta find." And then after that, I just get it under contract and then sell it to somebody else for a higher price. Like that's easy, right? Wrong.
Wow.
I was so wrong. So, okay, the first thing that I did, so I don't know, Deb, if you ever did bandit signs. Did
I
you?
did.
Okay.
I wrote them out by myself.
Me too. By hand, baby.
By
Look, I buy houses cash. I buy houses cash on the front and the back. Had to sticking in the little metal poles and then stick girl. So, anyways, that's pretty much how I started off. And then for those of you who don't know what a bandit sign is, that's exactly what it is. It's a sign that says I buy houses for cash or whatever, and then it lists your phone number so that people that are driving by or whatever, if they see that, then likely they'll call you and let you know that they want to sell their house. Some people have success doing that. I did not. I didn't get not one person call me off them bandit signs. I was so upset. And then after you put the bandit signs out there, you can't just leave them out there. You have to like at some point go and pick them up. I didn't realize that that was the case. So I just left mine out there. And one day I went driving to the area that I had put those in, and my signs were gone. I said, what happened to my signs? Girl, somebody then picked up them signs and probably threw them away. But anyways, so if you are putting out bandit signs, make sure that you are going to go, pick them up out of the yard wherever you put them at, because somebody will remove them if they're there too long. But so anyways, I tried that did that for maybe like a month or two. That just was not effective. And so after that, I just thought, well, maybe I'll just start just doing door knocking, right? Because everybody says that door knocking is the most effective way to find wholesale deals. So, girl, I got everybody on board. I got my husband on board. I got my daughter on board. I purchased a software called Deal Machine. And in Deal Machine, you can actually virtually drive for dollars. And so, if you can imagine, like on your map quest, like you can put in like a property address, and then from there it'll show you like a street view, and then you can click on each house, and it'll let you know who the owner is, whether they're an absentee owner, whether they're so. Anyways, I had my husband and my daughter basically virtually driving for dollars, and I was doing like physical driving for dollars, right? So driving around, going to people's house, knocking on their door. What I did though, I got some notebook paper, and I just wrote like a little note, like, "Hi, my name is Tilisa. I love your house. Love to see if you might be interested in selling. If so, here's my number, whatever." And so I would just leave that note on everybody's door if they didn't answer. But then if they answer, then I would tell them that I was interested. Okay, so the nerves that go through you when you're a newbie and you're talking to somebody about selling their house, the nerves are all over the place.
Yes.
So you can imagine me, driving around. I walk up to somebody's door and I knock on the door and I'm praying to God that they don't answer. Praying to God that they do not answer, because if they answer, that means I have to speak, right? It'd be so much easier if they didn't answer and I left the letter there and then they called me. It'd be easier that way. But I did get a couple of instances where people answered the door. And I would say in those moments, that's where I really started to build my confidence, and just having those conversations with people and just seeing that it was actually not as scary as what I thought. I was calling people that were in pre foreclosure, and so I wasn't just calling anybody, or not calling, I wasn't just driving to anybody's house. I was specifically targeting those that I felt were in pain. And when I approached them, I guess in the beginning, I really didn't know how to approach them. And so my conversation was something around this line. Hi, I saw that your house is in pre foreclosure. If you want to keep your house, I might be able to help you save it. But if not, there's some other options. We might be able to purchase it from you. I didn't have a whole lot of success with that method. uh, I'll just
Because a
keep
lot of people are in denial. So you come in and try to tell them about their house, they ready to cut you out.
right. And then how do you know I'm in pre
How you
foreclosure?
got my
And
business?
and how do you know I haven't already paid it? And I've already taken care of that. I've already gotten somebody that's going to help me take care of that. I'm keeping my house, and this is that and the other. It's like, okay, cool, no worries. And so I didn't do that for very long because like I said, you guys, I really didn't like the whole face to face, just walking up to somebody's house and asking them to buy their house. And so as like this is going on for several months and I still have not closed the deal, right? So at this point, I've done bandit signs, haven't closed the deal. I've done driving for dollars, haven't closed the deal. And so at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit desperate and a little bit discouraged, like, damn, does this even work? You know what I mean? And so one day I was on Facebook, and I saw this ad of this guy, and you guys may know of him if you're in the real estate industry, Jamil Damji.
Yeah.
And so Jamil Damji, he does astro flipping. And basically what astro flipping is it's just merely you going to a real estate agent and asking the agent if they know about any off-market properties, or if they have any properties that have been sitting on the MLS for some time that I might be able to put an offer in on. And so when I saw his ad, he was doing a 10-day challenge, right? Where he was inviting pretty much anybody who wanted to join to this 10-day astro flipping Zoom call, where him and his students were going to be calling agents and having conversations with them, asking them if they had any off-market properties, and basically showing us how to have the conversation with realtors, right? And the thing that I liked about Jamil Damji's method was that typically when you wholesale and you're going directly to the seller, once you close that deal with the seller, I mean that's pretty much all the contact that you have. You're not going
Right.
to, that seller's not going to keep coming to you to sell you more properties or whatever else. So the cool thing about Astro flipping was that you build a relationship with a realtor, and that realtor has an off market deal or whatever. If you treat that realtor right and you compensate that realtor right, that realtor is going to be an ongoing relationship for you, and it's going to give you ongoing leads. And
True.
so I loved that idea because, first of all, I was terrified to talk directly to sellers, and I knew that sellers had a different level of respect for their realtors. And but I also knew that realtors are going to be more professional
Yes.
than a seller, and I'm a professional person. So the fact that I was able to talk to another professional, even if my numbers were wrong or my offer was too low, they were able to talk to me as a professional, give me advice. You know what? I think that the sellers might be more lenient if you guys went this way, or if you brought up your price $10,000. But it was just more of like a conversation versus I ain't selling my house to you, damn it.
Yes. And in that tone and that delivery.
The whole thing, right? So so anyways, I'm on this challenge, and day one I forgot who he brought on. I can't remember, but day one he brought on one of his students, and they got on an auto dialer. So like they had this list of realtors in the DFW area. I don't even remember what area it was, but let's just say it was like the DFW area. So they pulled up a list of realtors. I don't know where they paid for this list, but they imported into their auto dialer. And so on the call, the auto dialer was just calling, the agents. And then once an agent picked up, they were like, hello, my name is so and so, whatever, whatever. I got your number from, a realtor's list, wondering if you have any off market properties that I'm wanting to that I could put an offer on. I'm looking to close on at least 3 to 4 properties this month. And so basically, when you start the conversation off like that, a lot of realtors are like, oh, you know what? Actually, I do have a property that's been sitting on the MLS for a while. What are you guys thinking about? Well, we can do a cash offer. It might not be what you were wanting or what the sellers are wanting, but it's something versus just sitting on the market and not getting anything. And so I liked this method so much so that the very next day they had another girl on there, and she like freaking killed it. She was a black girl, she was young, and like her delivery was so, like, it was just so cool. Every single realtor that picked up the phone was like, oh yeah, I've got like 5 deals that I can send you. Let me send you these over right now. Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, my sister has a property that she was going to list. Let me send you that address and see. And it was just like instantly she had got like 10 leads off
Wow.
of talking to like 3 realtors.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Oh, sorry about that. Somebody was trying to call me. But anyhow, so I was like, man, that was so fast, like the way that she did that. And by the end of the day, that day, she had already had like 3 properties that she had sent offers on. And I believe one of them was already under contract. I
Wow.
was just like, okay, so this is what I need to do. So pretty much what they ended up doing during this challenge was they said that, and I can't remember exactly what the how I got entered, but they gave a certain amount of people an opportunity to obtain that list of realtors, or a list of realtors. I think it was like 1,000 realtors, right, with
Mhm.
their phone numbers and everything. And so I was just like, I need to make sure that I get in on this challenge. Like, I want to be chosen to be one of the ones that gets that list. And I did. And so when I got the list, I immediately just I didn't have an auto dialer at the time, right? And so I just started calling, realtor after realtor, telling them who I was, sharing with them what my buy box was. And then I would say maybe about a week after I got that list and I started making calls, one of the agents got back to me, and she said that her friend was listing a property, or that no, her friend had listed a property. They'd been on the MLS for like 45 days. She said that they were about to go ahead and just take it off the market, but she wanted to run it by me to see what I might be able to offer. So at this time, I'm getting excited, like, ooh, but I don't even really know how to analyze a deal at this point, right? And so I get the address, I put the address into PropStream, and I look and I see, and from what I can see, it looks like the homes are selling for like 380, and they were selling the property for like 250, and the property didn't need it didn't need any renovations. It was a nice house. And so I offered her, I believe it was like 20 to $30,000 less than their asking price, and they ended up accepting it, right?
Wow.
Okay, so at this point, I'm still like, I don't even know if I've negotiated this right. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to find a buyer, but all I know is that they accepted my offer and we're getting this thing under contract. And the good thing for me was that because I was a newbie, I didn't even know how to fill out the contracts. But because I was working with a realtor, she drew up all the contracts
Dang.
for me, even though she wasn't even representing me. She was only representing her seller. And so, one thing that I can say, one of the mistakes that I made, and I advise all of you guys to just be completely transparent, especially if you're working with agents, is I did not tell the agent that I was going to be assigning the contract.
That's
And
good. That is huge.
it is, and I didn't think it was going to be a big deal because everything that I had learned up until that point was that no, don't tell the seller that you're signing the contract. They don't need to know. They just need to make sure that they get paid during closing day. And so, I thought it was pretty much the same with a realtor, but a realtor is going to look at the contracts. A realtor is going to be able to see that there's been an assignment done, like all of that stuff. And so, pretty much what I ended up doing is we got it under contract. And then I had reached out to another, somebody else in Jamil Damji's mentorship. And I reached out and I said, hey, I've got a deal and I need a buyer, and I don't have a buyer. So one of Jamil's students actually was familiar with the area and said that we could do a JV on the deal, and they would find a buyer, and basically I would just assign, we were just going to do an assignment contract. And so I was going to get it under contract for, like, let's say like 220, and then I was going to assign it to my, like, the partner pretty much for a different amount, and then they assigned it to a buyer for a different amount.
Got it.
So, and is what is that called? Is that called there's a word for that. Ah, darn it. Hopefully it'll come to me. Anyways, but there's a word for that. But anyways, so they ended up finding me a buyer. And so she also, the person that helped me with the deal, they already knew how to do like the JV agreements and all that other stuff. And so they created the JV agreement. They had me send it over to the title company, or in the assignment contract and all that stuff. And so once that happened, I got a call from the realtor, and the realtor was upset. And she was just like, hey, Tilisa, you didn't tell me that you were going to be assigning this to somebody else. And I was like stuck. But one thing that I did do on on the contracts, I had her put the buyer was Stubbs Journey LLC or designated entity. And the reason why I put that or designated entity was because I had heard on YouTube that you need to add that, so that that basically tells the seller or the real estate agent that you have the right to assign this to a designated entity if you don't close on this. And so basically that's what I told her. I was like, oh, well, I pretty much thought that you knew, that when I put that,
Right.
or designated entity on there, that basically meant that I might assign it. And so I thought that the deal was done. I thought, well, I wasn't upfront with her, and I was feeling guilty and I was feeling bad. Like I had purposely like withheld information from her to try to get this deal closed, which I did. Like I didn't want her to know that I was assigning it because I didn't want to have this conversation right here. Um so anyways, luckily the agent was like, look, Tilisa, she says, if you feel like your buyers are gonna, if they're gonna go through with it and they're not gonna pull out and all that, she was just like, I'm gonna say let's go ahead and go through with it. She says, I am gonna notify the sellers that you will be assigning the contract. She says, but I'm gonna let you know right now. And she was so upfront, she was like so blunt with me. She was just like, I'm just gonna let you know right now that if basically if you screw me over, or if you pull out of this deal and terminate the contract at an inappropriate time, I will never do business with you
Wow.
ever again.
Wow. Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot raining on her. Her name is on the line if this does not work out, because she has told her sellers it's all going to work out. And at any point, we know these end buyers sometimes will be flaky and they will bounce out. Oh, I mean, they will back out at any point.
Yep. And then the seller was her friend.
Oh, that makes it even more complicated if something goes bad.
Exactly. So me, I was just like, okay, well, I need to be sure. So I'm going back to the person that's doing dispositions, and I'm like, hey, how for sure are you that the buyer's gonna go through with it? And they're all nonchalant. They're like, oh yeah, buyer's good. They're already about to wire EMD. Like, yeah, like just nonchalant. So I'm like, okay, all right, cool. And so I let the realtor know that, everything's on the up and up. The buyer's already sending, EMD and whatnot. And so we were due to close about 2 weeks after that. We were due to close. And about 2 days before we were due to close, the partner reached out to me and said, hey, reach out to the realtor and let the realtor know that we're going to need to extend our close date. I was like, no. I was like, no, this cannot happen. And they were like, our buyer is out of town. They want to be there at the closing table to basically sign their documents. They don't want to do this whole mobile notary and everything. So we were supposed to close on a Friday. And they were like, let's see if they can extend it till Monday. And I was just like, okay, is it like a for sure thing that we're going to close on Monday? And they said, yeah, it's a for sure thing. We're going to close on Monday. So I'm like, okay. So I call the realtor and I'm like, hey, we're going to have to extend the close date just until Monday. And she was just like, why? Why do they need to do that? What's the holdup? What are they looking for? And so I was just like, you know what? The guy is out of town and he just needs until Monday because he'll be back in town. He wants to be here to sign docs. Anyways, long story short, we ended up closing on that deal. I was able to profit $13,000 on that deal.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
yes, but there were things that I had to pay. Like I had to pay somebody to go walk the property for me because I didn't live in the area. And so anyways, there were fees and whatnot. So I think I actually ended up taking home like maybe like 9,000. But yeah, that was my first deal. I was a nervous wreck. I was a hot mess. I got basically chewed out by the realtor. Like
Wow.
all the things.
But what I love about that deal is, one, people really put out there that wholesaling is the easiest way to get into real estate with zero to no money. But you literally shared about going through different strategies, the bandit signs to going door knocking. None of those seem to work. But then you decided, I'm going to pay somebody that's doing this, that's an expert, to show me another way. And it worked. And then you were able to do what you need to do. And even during that time, you still had some ups and downs and different things you had to go through, but it all worked out. Just
Yes.
imagine that person that did bandit signs and they quit because it didn't work. Or imagine that person that was like, okay, I'm going to do door knocking and didn't work. But you kept going and been like, now it works. And look at what you've been able to create from just that one deal of being persistent and just saying, okay, I'm going to figure it out. And you learn so much that YouTube University does not teach you. And you don't talk about some of the emotions that you were going through.
Oh my God, I was scared. Like I mean, and for me, I needed the money.
Yeah.
Like I needed the money. And so I was scared that, oh man, I put in all this energy and all this time. And what if this deal doesn't close? What if the buyer backs out and the realtor, like smears my name across the internet? Because investing is a small world.
It is
Everybody
very,
knows
very small.
everybody.
Yes.
Right. And so yeah, there was a lot of fear, but what I will say though is that regardless of the fear, in spite of the fear, I still kept taking action. I
Yes.
still kept taking action.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So we have literally learned so much from Talisa and her first deal story. I wanted you to just kind of talk to us about one, what'd you do with the 9,000?
Okay, so I have a lot of debt, you guys. I racked up a lot of debt when I got into this real estate investing journey, and I had debt before this, and so a lot of my $9,000 went towards paying off debt and paying bills and whatnot. And so I didn't get to reinvest really any of it. I will say though that with I would say maybe about 3,000 of it, I actually started to get myself some systems in place, and
Okay.
so I purchased some software where I was able to cold call. I hired a VA that was only charging me like $5 an hour. So I did do some stuff like that just so that the next time that I got a deal, I didn't have to put in as much effort myself. But the rest of that went towards paying bills and paying debt.
Got it. Got it. But I mean,
Yeah.
9,000 is a lot. And then talk to us real quick about after you did that deal, how quickly did you get your second deal?
Okay, so after that deal, it was probably about another 2 months.
Got
It
it.
was about another 2 months before I got another deal. And one thing that I want people to realize is that the conversations that you're having right now, the seeds that you're planting right now with sellers and realtors and all that, you're not going to see the manifestations or the deals closed on those for maybe a month, maybe 2 months. So we're in February right now. I'm having conversations and working deals that we're probably not going to close until maybe the end of March, maybe April. And so don't think that, just because you've got a lead and you've got something under contract that you're going to be able to, close on it in a week or in 2 weeks. No, it can be a process. So it can be a while before you actually close on that first deal.
Right, right. And I know, I think maybe on another episode, we need to do a deep dive onto wholesaling and what systems and processes and things that we need to put into place. But talk to us a little bit about thinking about now that you got that deal, what confidence did you now have moving forward?
Yeah, I can say that because I was able to see what the contracts look like, because I was able to see what the JV agreement looked like, I saw what the assignment contract looked like. I had went through some of those, those hiccups of not telling the realtor that I was assigning it. What it did is it gave me more confidence because in my next deal, I went in with this information already, and so
Mhm.
I presented myself as a more polished professional, and in doing so that boosted my confidence and it boosted other people's confidence in me as well.
Wow, I love that. And what for one of our last questions, what would you share with a new investor about that process of your first deal?
Man, there's so much. I want to think about this because I really want it to be something that they can harness. um One thing that I'll say is it's you're going to be afraid,
Yeah.
right? You're going to be afraid of calling sellers. You're going to be afraid to door knock. You're going to be afraid. But as long as you can continue to put one foot in front of the other, even in spite of that fear, what you'll notice is that when you walk through that fear and you get on the other side of that, there's confidence and now you've got more experience.
Yeah.
And so if you're in a position and you feel that fear, know that it's a good sign.
Yeah.
Know that it's a good sign, and you're about to enter into a new dimension, because you've got to get through that. But if you stop at fear, you never get on the other side of that, and that's where the prosperity lies.
Yes. Oh, that was a word. So keep moving. If
Keep
viewers
moving.
are listening to, watching us, keep moving. What you are seeing is God's testimony of what it looks like to keep moving despite the fear, despite the anxiety, despite the unknown on the other side. Is just keep moving. Oh my
That's
gosh.
it.
This was such a great episode.
It was, and I know I took longer than what I wanted to, but that's okay. On the next one, Deborah, we're gonna have to talk about you and your first deal. You're gonna have to walk us through that, because I know that's gonna be exciting.
Yes, yes. But I really hope the listeners have really taken time to just listen to how you went. It's literally, success is like a scribbly maze of going up and down these roller coasters. It's not a straight line. But if you just keep going and keep moving forward, you will get to where you're supposed to be.
You will. You absolutely will. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't give up, because the future you is waiting on you. The
Yeah,
future you is waiting on you in the future, waiting on you to get your shit together,
yes,
waiting on you to start being more diligent. There, it's waiting on you to develop an actual plan that you can follow, and action steps that you can actually take. But
yes.
you've got to put in the work so that you can get to that future you.
You got to put in the work. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed our share of Tilisa telling us about her very, very first deal, the up downs of everything. We so appreciate you guys taking time to listen to our podcast, share our podcast. Feel free to make sure you leave a comment, share what you want us to talk about, because this is for you to really grow and transform your life through real estate investing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much. Deb and I love having you guys, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.